Maiko. So let's see what he brings to the table on this one, because you always know when he comes up, it's something good.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video, I have a story for you. It's a story that's about fathers and sons.
I should have done that from the beginning. I apologize.
It's about family. Well, it's about one family in particular, and it's about how the men in that family all shared a particular trait. Love of killing, really. No two ways about it. The Weaver family wove a web of lies, of deceit, of just stalking those around them, no matter who they're related to or close with. If you were in their circle, you were going to get the scary cat eyes, my friends. In California and Oregon, a grandfather, father, and son would commit horrid atrocities. This story begins with one girl going missing, a month later her friend disappearing also, and then an investigation into a man who has a dirty family background, namely a father who possibly left up to 26 bodies in his wake as he worked as a truck driver. Was it due to, being raised by a killer, a possible serial killer, or was it just, in their nature and they were going to turn out that way no matter what?
That kind of brings like memories from Wedding Crashers, nurture or nature. Which one is it? I'm not even going to go into this deep thought that I have. What makes people what, but it has to be nature. It really does. Because you do see a lot of people overcome a lot of adversities when they're being nurtured or fostered in an environment that's unhealthy, and you see a lot of them come out, just fine. Now I can't say, excuse me, let me rephrase that. Not a lot of them, but there's a few of them that come out and overcome the adversities that they're around. So it's not always nature that changes them. Or excuse me, nurture. Did I say nurture? I hope I did. Maybe it's well within their nature that they're already, something just in them like, hey, I'm going to overcome these adversities no matter what.
I'll leave it up to you to debate that one. But, to debate it, we gotta go through it, and that means let's give it a go. So to begin, let's set the scene, and that means we are going to Oregon. God damn, I'm getting a lot of mileage out of that one. We're going to Oregon City. Oregon City lies just to the south of Portland. It's a small city.
Let's see here. This is where the psycho devil that I happened to God, I don't even want to say the word. Mary, where her lineage comes from. Very non-tolerant of other races. Let's just say that. Not the whole state. I'm not going to group the whole state in being like that. But when her uncle was like, didn't know I was outside on the side of the house. So, how do you feel about your daughter marrying a wetback? I couldn't help but almost just laugh so loud and get busted. I was like, just because I'd hear it all the time from my friends and in good fun. And so that's how I took it. I just was like, you ignorant fool. But I was like, I don't want to ruin it for my ex, because at the time it wasn't like bad relationship yet. But if I would have said something, she would have bought plane tickets home for the very next day. And I was like, I want to experience this tuna hunting until I went, and caught the first one. Then I was like, fuck this. I do not like this at all.
less than 40,000 people living there. It was once known for forestry, and now pretty much just as a suburb of Portland. And it was there that, in the year 2002, Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis lived and went to school. That's Gardner Middle School. Ashley was 12 years of age, close friends with 13-year-old Miranda Gaddis, and another young girl, Mallory Weaver. They were like the three best friends that anyone could have. You know, they were all neighbors, they all lived close together, they were on the same dance team, and both Ashley and Miranda, they lived in the same apartment complex. That's Newell Creek Village Apartments on the southeast side of town. Ashley lived with her single mother and her three younger siblings. Her dad, a fella named David Pond, he had divorced Ashley's mother, Lori, a couple of years before. That divorce was quite contentious, in fact, when in the middle of it, David revealed he was not, in fact, Ashley Pond's biological father. That meant that David would have to pay less child support to Lori Pond. So not only did Ashley, it was revealed to Ashley that the man she thought was her dad this entire time, her entire life, was not actually her dad, but that it was revealed to her in such a way that he would have less to do with her and wouldn't have to pay to help support her. So that's, shitty. Pretty rough when you're just about to, enter your teenage years to learn that. And so Ashley learned that her actual biological father was a guy named Wesley Rotger Jr.
It looks like...
And she began to get to know him as you would. She wanted to know her dad. Unfortunately, though, for Ashley, Wesley turned out to be a registered sex offender and an all-around piece of shit. After Wesley demanded sex from his 12-year-old daughter, Ashley realized that that was not a...
Wow. People cease to amaze me. Wow. That is just sickening.
A relationship worth pursuing. To put it mildly, I guess. Fuck this dude. But he did get his comeuppance in September 2001. He was indicted on felony counts relating to sexual abuse of a minor.
Good.
That minor was Ashley Pond. He had been abusing her basically since he met her, his own daughter. And he was sentenced to a whopping 120 months probation. Yeah, his also piece of shit lawyer were able to undermine the credibility of a 12-year-old girl, so big whoop. So Ashley, to put it mildly, she had it rough growing up. The man she thought was her dad for most of her life turned out to not be her dad and also want nothing to do with her. And then the man who was actually her dad had molested her. So, great stuff right there. Shite. And her mother, Lori, wasn't a saint either. She was a bit of a drunk and often got into domestics with others. A lot of things went wrong for Ashley Pond, who, despite having all this shit put on her, she did her utmost at school to be there for her friends, to participate in, after-school activities, to engage with, the things that you would imagine would help you turn out and develop into a healthy person. She didn't really have much of a chance, and she still was able to do all those things. And all that takes us to the 9th of January 2002. That morning, Ashley was running late for school. She was sprinting for the bus just after 8 a.m. Now, getting up late and running for the bus was actually pretty normal for Ashley. She loved the L bed. It was less than a 10-minute walk from her home. She was out the door that day, but she would never, ever walk back in the door. Just after 6 p.m., her mother, Lori, expecting Ashley to come home, after dance practice, after school, she never came in that door. Lori called the school, worried about her daughter, at this stage. And then she was informed by the school that Ashley never turned up at all. She never even made it to the bus, just a couple of minutes, down the road from her house. So Lori, she then called the police.
dispatch. Yes, hi. How do I go about filing missing person? That's your daughter, son? My daughter's been missing since this morning. She would never run away, though. Okay, you don't think she'd ever run away? No, that's something. Okay, a little bit different then. No, she's been missing. Well, she left for school this morning, and I've contacted all her friends, and none of them saw her at school. And she had dance after school. She wasn't at dance. So she's been missing since this morning. This is so out of character of her. She always calls and informs me of everything. Okay, we sent an officer on his way out there. Okay.
Now, Ashley wasn't the type to run away, and all her stuff remained in the home, her clothes and all that. The police searched her internet activity, they searched the neighborhood, the surrounding areas. No sign of young Ashley. In those couple of minutes from when she was running out the door to the bus, she just vanished. The police began to speculate that she had been abducted. The investigation would continue for weeks, but no leads ever cropped up. It was as if she vanished. Now, a man who lived just down the street was briefly questioned, and that man was Ward Weaver III. He was father of Mallory Weaver, who was close with both Ashley and Miranda. And as he lived just down the road, well, sometimes he gave Mallory rides to school, and sometimes Ashley and Miranda would tag along for those rides if they didn't want to get the bus. He was questioned. No, he hadn't driven anyone to school that morning. He was actually late leaving the house for work as his burglar alarm. It was on the fritz. The police then, they had a brief look around Ward Weaver's house, didn't see anything out of the ordinary, and left it at that. Towards the end of January, the FBI became involved, handing out flyers, roadblocks, but nada. Ashley was gone. But here's one thing. Detectives investigating the mysterious disappearance of Ashley Pond learned that over the summer of 2001, Ashley had stayed with the Weavers. She had stayed with Ward Weaver and his daughter, Mallory Weaver. Now, Ashley, she didn't exactly have the easiest home life. Mallory, was a good friend of hers, so she'd be happy to bunk with her, for a couple of months. And it, where Ashley's house was and where the Weaver's house was, within a stone's throw of each other. Now, Ashley would report to the police that Ward Weaver had tried to molest her. No charges would ever be filed in this case, and when Ward was
So now this poor girl has had her first, her stepfather, who she thought was her real father, say, no, I'm not your real dad. Deal with it. The most vital part in, most children's lives, making that transition to high school where it's like you really feel, you need to, that's what's going to mold you. At that time, that's how, a lot of people feel. You find out, okay, this is not my real father. Let me get to know my real father. Well, this piece of shit starts to fucking try to, sexually abuse me. And the lawyers just make me look like if I'm lying, just trying to get him in trouble. So, this prick only ends up with probation. Probably not even restitution. You probably didn't have to pay shit towards her. Fucking asshole. And then one of her good friends' father is also attempting to molest her. God.
question, he'd be like, no, not at all. I never touched her. I gave her a place to stay while she was having a rough time, at home, lads. I was looking out for, in fact, I'm kind of a hero. What's an attempted molestation in the grand scheme of things? And remember how Ashley Pond's father, Wesley, he got such a light sentence for, abusing her for like 4 years? Well, it turned out that Ward Weaver helped him and testified on Wesley's behalf against Ashley Pond, saying, calling her a liar and saying she had also accused him of molesting her. Wow, shit really clumps together. And now she had disappeared.
Hope that fucker gets what's coming to him.
She's been kidnapped.
It's really hard to believe that having a living of friends or something. It's just really different and really sad.
Her close friend Miranda did not have high hopes for her. What would be even more tragic is that soon after, Miranda herself would disappear.
Jesus.
On the 8th of March 2002, almost exactly 2 months since Ashley Pond disappeared, 13-year-old Miranda Gaddis, she herself got up, for another day at school. Another day at school not knowing what had happened to her best friend. And in fact, that very day, the 8th of March, after school was to be a dance performance in hopes of raising money as a reward, to help find Ashley. Now Miranda, much like Ashley, did not have a pleasant childhood. Growing up, her father, Jason Gaddis, was convicted of kidnapping and sexually abusing 2 girls. When he was arrested at their house, he tried to use Miranda as a shield.
Oh my...
Then later, Miranda's mother, a woman named Michelle Duffy, she got involved with a guy named Brett McEnany. He was a child predator.
What the fuck is going on with all these goddamn people? I mean, it's always been under... So, one thing that has been very important to me, and I put this... So, whenever I've been single, like I am now, every now and then, I'll be like, okay, let me try Match.com. See if I meet anybody interesting. And one thing that I always put on there is, your child needs to be your number one priority in your life, because there is no way in hell a mother or father should put somebody before their own child whatsoever. Obviously, these women who are with these sick ass men are putting these men before their own children. I mean, you're telling me you do not know that your child is being molested? Are you leaving them alone that much, and you're not seeing the change in your teenage daughter, who probably goes from being cheerful, happy, whatever, to all of a sudden standoffish, quiet, I mean, I don't know how they act with, when they get molested, but I'm sure they're not themselves, and you're telling me as a parent you do not fucking know that? Oh, I hope these guys...
He would be convicted, and Miranda placed into foster care for a time, and then into therapy. She would eventually wind back with her mother.
Jesus, why?
That morning, the 8th of March 2002, Miranda's mother, Michelle Duffy, she was out the door at about 7:30 a.m. for work, and then half an hour later, at around 8 a.m., that's when Miranda herself was out the door to get the bus, just a couple of minutes away. And she never made it. When Michelle learned that her daughter hadn't been in school that day, she reported her missing.
What's your home address? Where's she missing from?
14155 South Beaver Creek Road, number 201. The same as Ashley Pond.
And what's your daughter's name?
Miranda Gaddis, Gaddis. And no one's talked to her or seen her.
And the investigation that had been winding down for Ashley sprang up for Miranda. And it didn't take a rocket scientist to realize that they were clearly related. 2 girls the same age, best friends, living in the same apartment complex, go missing on their way to the bus within 2 months of each other. They even looked alike. So you can imagine the absolute fear running through everyone who lived in that area. It's every parent's nightmare. The first time was a nightmare, now it's happened twice. And the police once again knocked on Ward Weaver's door. See, 2 weeks before Miranda disappeared, she had been at the Weaver home, as it was Mallory Weaver's 13th birthday. And during that birthday party at the Weaver house, Miranda had said to another girl who was at the party, "Don't spend the night here." Miranda was saying, she had heard about Ashley accusing Ward of molesting her. Now apparently when Ward heard this, he got very angry. Miranda, also just like Ashley, had gotten a ride, from time to time with Ward Weaver and Mallory to school. So the police rocked up to Ward's house saying, hey, did you give Miranda, a lift to school that day because she didn't make the bus? And he would say, nope, I was home all morning because Mallory, my daughter, was sick. She was sick from school that day, so I was looking after her. Mallory was with her mother that day. It kind of seemed like all the roads were leading to the Weaver home. And the victims' families knew about him, knew what kind of man he was. They also noticed that after Miranda went missing, Ward Weaver got his teenage son, Francis Weaver, to help him pour cement in the back garden. You can see a tarp there in the background in this footage of Laurie Pond. Laurie was constantly telling the police to go in there, even going so far as to leave signs out front reading, "Dig me up." FBI dogs also became interested in the Weaver home, but nothing was found. Ward did polygraphs, which he failed. But police harassment, you guys, they're tapping my phones, they're trying to pin it all on me. And months went by with nothing found on either Ashley nor Miranda. In July of 2002, Ward Weaver III gave an interview to a local news station, hoping to clear his name, shooting the shit. He was mad to the away. Did it work? Have a look.
They said the school bus stop Ashley and Miranda never made it to the mornings they vanished, up the hill from the apartment complex where they lived and right outside the home of Ward Weaver. The girls were both friends with Weaver's daughter. They were on the dance team at school with her, and both had spent nights at his home.
You could not walk anywhere in my front room without stepping on a body. They are hassling my family, my friends. They are saying that I am the number one suspect.
He told me he flunked 2 polygraph tests, but also walked me through his home to show he had nothing to hide.
They want to put me on their list of suspects, fine. I live right here in the middle of all this mess. Getting up at 8, my daughter would wake me up at 8. I'd watch her catch the bus, which comes at 8:20. Get in the shower. And up, it's a 12-minute drive from Clackamas, so from here to Clackamas, if I don't hit any traffic down here at this light. So, no, I was here, but time frame doesn't make anything feasible.
He openly discusses Ashley's allegations against him.
Ashley has this habit, if she gets in trouble by someone, she'll make accusations against that person. And the first time that I actually had to come down on her about her mouth, she did just that. She made accusations that I had molested her. I know Ashley ran away, and the fact that the FBI is throwing both of these cases, into someone took them both, it's like, okay, fine. I don't see it that way. And I would really not like to think that someone took Miranda.
This is the worst
either girl, actually, but I know,
interview I've ever heard.
Well, I don't have anything to do with what's going on, but my gut instinct is Ashley's off somewhere where she would rather be than home. I kept tabs on them when they were here, just because, I'm a parent, I'm responsible because they're here.
But where were the girls? Now, let's talk about the infamous Weaver family. The troubles of the Weavers stretch back quite some time to a woman named Dorothy Weaver back in the day, and she was Ward Weaver III's his grandmother. Right, she was a bit of a friggin' psychopath. She really hated men. Even though she had sons, she was not very kind to them and would say that she wanted to cut the dick off all men. Cut their dicks off. Okay. Right. One of Dorothy Weaver's sons was named Ward Weaver Jr. Now, it's a little confusing because you have Ward Weaver Jr. and then his son, Ward Weaver III. So Ward Weaver Jr., this is a fucking tongue twister. I can't even say that. So Ward Weaver Jr., I'm going to call him Pete Weaver because he often went by his middle name, Pete. So Pete Weaver is this asshole's dad. But they were both matching dumb cocksuckers, so don't worry about it. Pete Weaver was a shitty kid with a shitty childhood. He would torture animals, he would abuse cats, and he would sexually abuse his own sister. He didn't grow up to be any better. He would go on to be a long-haul truck driver in California, so he was away from his own family for quite some time. Pete Weaver married a woman named Trish, and he would have 3 kids, one being Ward Weaver III, Teresa, and Tammy. Pete Weaver was eventually drafted and sent to Vietnam. Trish and Pete would later divorce, and she would find herself and her children ending up with a drinker named Bob Budrow. Bob Budrow would beat the ever-living shit out of Trish's kids, Ward Weaver III, Teresa, and Tammy. And I'm just kind of realizing now that everybody in this story just kind of sucks. And so Ward III didn't have a happy childhood. When he was 4 years old, he fell out of a second-floor window. Now Bob, he would later work as a docker. He worked down the docks, and he would often take young Ward Weaver with him. And Trish would later suspect there was something going on when Bob would take her son, and so she eventually put an end to it, but she would say that after, her son was never the same. Ward became a bully to his half-brother, Robert Budrow, beating him up, and he was also cruel to his own younger siblings. In 1981, Ward was accused of raping a relative, but charges were never pressed. Never pressed because Ward Weaver III then ran off to join the Navy, and it was, quote, useless to pursue the abuse charges, leaving him friggin' free to do it again. Like, round of applause there, lads, another job well done. Ward III would work as a cook aboard an aircraft carrier docked in the Philippines, and there he met a young Filipino woman named Maria Stout. Ward would receive an other than honorable discharge for leaving his post whenever he felt like it, and bring Maria back to Portland. So an other than honorable discharge, by the way, it's not as bad as a dishonorable discharge, but it's still not a good look. But you can still apply for benefits and so on. And the police would be called to Ward and Maria's house on more than one occasion for, you guessed it, abuse. Ward was extremely controlling of Maria, and he would often beat her up. In fact, when Maria wanted to press charges against her husband, Trish, Ward's mother, she would come in and be like, oh, no you don't. No, you don't. They later moved to Bakersfield, California, and would have 3 kids. Frances, the oldest, and then 2 others. Now, in the meantime, Ward Weaver III's father, Pete Weaver, would turn out to be an absolute psychopath. In 1978, Pete Weaver was sent to prison for 1.5 years for rape. Then, in 1981, Pete picked up 2 runaways. He arranged for a friend to shoot the boy in the head and then repeatedly raped the girl. He was sentenced to 41 years for that. While serving those 41 years, he boasted to another inmate about more crimes he had committed. Pete did, namely, a double homicide. In 1981, while working as a long-distance truck driver, which is a serial killer speciality, he came across a young couple, 23-year-old Barbara Lavoie and 18-year-old Robert Radford, stranded in the Mojave Desert. He pulled over to help them out, the car had broken down, and then he walked to the back of his own truck and asked Robert to come over here, give me a hand. And then he struck Robert over the head with a metal pipe, put Robert's body in the back of his truck, and then repeatedly sexually assaulted Barbara and took her with him. He took the body of Robert and Barbara back to his house. He took Barbara into his garden and tied her to a tree outside, at which point she fought back. She almost bit off a portion of his finger, and then he strangled her to death, burying them both in his backyard. Pete Weaver then tried to make a deal with the prosecutors. Pete said he would lead them to 26 other victims if they waived the death penalty. They said no. So Ward Pete Weaver Jr. is a possible serial killer. I mean, from what he did, it seemed like he was quite used to killing, and then, as a truck driver, he was always on the move. So, big yikes, guys. In fact, when the police looked into what he was saying about the 26 other victims, they found the routes he did on his truck log, and they were able to match a number of unsolved murders from the areas he had been and when he had been there. Pete Weaver would later claim voices told him to do it. He was seen by 18 different psychologists and psychiatrists, and the diagnoses varied from PTSD to paranoid schizophrenia to insanity to nothing wrong with him at all.
Oh yeah, there's something wrong with him.
Pete's defense said that when he was in Vietnam, he had seen some horrible shit. You know, his friends get blown up, like that kind of stuff. And then he also said that once he saw his army friends repeatedly all have sex with a Vietnamese girl with the permission of her father, and it only ended when this girl's father slit her throat. Pete Weaver was sentenced to death.
Good.
So that's who this guy's father was, and now he himself was being, suspected of murdering 2 young girls and a whole host of other horrid shit. Yeah. So Ward Weaver watched his possible serial killer dad be sentenced to death, and in 1986, maybe Ward wanted to join him. Father's Day, 1986, he got real drunk at a bar, and got a ride home with 16-year-old Jennifer Ordona and her younger sister Jocelyn.
What the hell is a girl doing at a bar near a bar? Why the hell would he even... Okay, so maybe it's a bar like a bowling alley or something, and maybe she was there and lived close by and thought she could trust this asshole, but after 2 girls go missing and he's like the main suspect... I mean, she's a kid, though. I mean, you can't expect her to know any better, right? Jesus Christ. Like, this guy is just given chance after chance to do whatever the fuck he wants, because I guarantee you this probably isn't going to end up good either.
Maria, they lived with the Ordona family at the time. And while they were all in the car, he was steamed out of his mind. They were driving home, and Ward asked if Jennifer would pull over, pop out and take a piss. And then so she did. He got out. And then he opened the passenger seat door where young Jocelyn was in, and he smashed a concrete brick off her head. He went around to the other side of the car and started choking Jennifer. Like he was trying to kill them both. He got 3 years in prison for that one. Soon after, Mallory was born.
What the fuck is wrong with this family?
The family then moved to Oregon. They opened a little gift shop, and Ward Weaver on the side would sell coke and meth. He's grinding. He was on that grind, lads. Again, the police would come by for domestic after domestic, and in 1993, Maria would leave for the final time, filing a restraining order and divorcing him. In 1994, Ward met Christy Sloan on a blind date. She was 18 years old, fresh out of high school, didn't know her ass from her elbow, while Ward was 31 years old, divorced, father of 4, with like a criminal record. What kind of... He said it was a mutual friend who set Christy up with Ward. What kind of shitty friend sets you up with a guy like this? And guess what? Ward was no better to her than he was to Marie. He would beat her up all the time and was equally as controlling. But still, hey, in 1996, they married. He was a good guy really underneath it all, she could save him. Ward, though, would eventually leave her for another woman he'd been having an affair with. And himself, his new girlfriend, and his youngest kid, Mallory, would move to Oregon City. The girlfriend would leave, but they would stay in that house, and Mallory would become friends with Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis. Over the summer of 2002, everyone knew that Ward Weaver had something to do with what happened to Ashley and Miranda. They just couldn't find the proof, they just couldn't find the evidence, but they knew he was involved. It would turn out to be Francis Weaver, Ward's son and his oldest child, that would give the police their biggest break.
Good.
I need to be put over to the FBI. Okay. I need to tell them about my father and the girls, man. Who are you? I'm Francis Weaver. I need to tell everyone about my father, man. About what he did to those girls. I know what he did, man. He did that for girls. And raped the men and killed them. I'm doing what's right. Yeah, that's right, you are. And from now on, my family will be known for doing what's right.
On the 13th of August, Francis called the police, claiming that Ward had tried to rape his girlfriend. He'd been strangling her, but she managed to flee the house.
God, man,
Ward was arrested,
wrong
and it was
with
then
this
that
guy?
Francis told the police that a week before, Ward had confessed to him that he killed the 2 girls.
Ward, sorry, can you tell us what's going on? What's happening?
I have no idea what's going on at the moment.
The police then searched the home. They found Ashley buried under the concrete and Miranda inside an empty box in the shed out back.
Jesus Christ, what's wrong with people?
In October 2002, Ward Weaver was charged with the aggravated murders of Ashley and Miranda. He initially denied.
Did you kill Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis?
No, I did not.
So if you didn't kill Ashley and Miranda, then how did they wind up in your backyard?
Public property. Who knows? That place has been public access since those apartments and those condos have been built. People kick out the back fence and walk up to my backyard.
So you have no idea how Ashley's body got under the concrete slab that you poured?
Do you know how deep my understanding is, you know how deep she was? We went all the way down to the water lines. But how she got underneath there, who knows? I mean, it was open for access for a while. Practically 2 months.
Should I believe you?
You know what? I honestly don't care. I don't care because I put up with so much because of all this. I put up with so much crap because everybody believes I raped these little girls.
He would later plead guilty to avoid the death penalty. He was given 2 sentences of life without parole.
You look at the magnitude of what you've done here, I really just see nothing but evil.
Ward would say he killed Ashley because he hated her after, she had accused him of trying to molest her. But he would never say why he killed Miranda. Life wasn't always easy for Ward Weaver in prison. You'll be happy to learn. In 2007, another prisoner made a shank and tried to stab him to death. No, he didn't, but, good on him for trying. But the Ward name, didn't stop killing just then.
Francis did give us a glimpse of what his life was like growing up, as he described Ward Weaver.
Who did show me a lot of pain and a lot of hatred towards me, but also, in life, he showed me a lot of love.
In 2014, Francis Weaver, the one who told the police Ward had confessed, he was arrested, along with 2 other men for killing a man over marijuana. Francis Weaver was sentenced to life without parole. And let's not forget Mallory, Ashley and Miranda's good friend. She would be acquitted of attacking a security guard at a hospital where her mother Maria was admitted for mental health issues.
Jesus Christ, what the hell is wrong with this group of people? I don't think I've ever heard of a more deranged family. I mean, I hate to make light of this situation, but have you guys ever seen the Rob Zombie films? What the hell is it called? And where that family's all fucked up. I mean, this is like living freaking proof of them. Jesus Christ.
And so that ends the saga of the murderous family of killers who just preyed on everyone around them. Everyone. A family of serial killers, ? So is there a question of, serial killer or just killer genes? Is that why they were the way they were, or was it just being raised by a killer will do that to you? Though it would later come out that Francis Weaver was in fact not the biological son of Ward Weaver. He was his stepson, so I guess that kind of puts a dent in the whole, is it nurture or is it nature? And Francis, when he was arrested, he did seem, regretful of his actions and contrite about what he had done. The only one who seemed that way. I mean, at the same time though, there's also a few killers who had amazing childhoods. So who knows, but it seems like they all had shitty childhoods and became shitty people. But I mean, yeah, if they had a good childhood, would they still have done what they did? But you know what? Debate it. I'll leave it for you guys to decide. But, Shanae, thank you so much for watching. I really, really do appreciate you being here at the end of this video with me, watching this whole video, for the support over the years, for just everything. I'll never be able to thank you enough. So, hey, check out Twitter, _chapter. Check out Instagram, _chapter. Check out Patreon, where there's bonus videos, exclusive videos, all that sort of stuff. And I will see you as always real soon in the next whole video. But until then, please take care of each other, take care of yourselves, because I love ya. Mike out.
I always like that. He always seems so sincere. Wow. What can you even say after a video like that? I mean, it just sounded like every single person in that video was just completely in the head. I mean, that raping, I mean, it just didn't happen when they were teenagers. I mean, that shit had to have been going on for a while. I mean, it just doesn't suddenly turn on, I would imagine. I mean, that sick fuck was probably doing that from... I'd hate to even think about that. But good to know that there's people out there for prison justice. Now they probably have them in the special ward where they're all protected. Piece of shit. He'll get his in there. But wow, I mean, this was easily one of the most corrupt and messed up families I've ever heard of on here. So I don't know, you guys, like, you know, yeah, I'm rendered literally speechless. I mean, this reaction, this review is sickening. It's oh my god. Anyways, guys, yeah, go and show Mike some love like always. You know, he does such a great job at, you know, the research of the videos. I mean, you know, his script, his wittiness, everything that he does. Like I said, every time I do a video of that chapter, I mean, you know, just know that, you know, I'm championing for the guy, that he continues to get those views or those subscribers that he deserves, man. You know, he's the first person that I'm actually thinking about considering joining his Patreon. You know, of course, I click a like every time I see one of his videos because they're excellent. And, you know, I hope you guys do the same. For new viewers, just know that, yeah, this dude is awesome. If this is your first time seeing him, check out his videos because they are some of the best true crime, if not the best true crime videos online. I mean, on YouTube. You know, if this is your first time watching, you know, his channel, definitely subscribe to him. And if you so feel like it, you know, for the reactions and the reviews, you know, feel free to react, or excuse me, feel free to subscribe to my channel because I cover just about every video that he does, along with the whole plethora of other videos as well. Also at the behest of a lot of subscribers who told me, hey, open social media, you know, accounts. I'll go ahead and put that in the description as well, where you could leave comments if you like about other topics. Like I said, I do a whole bunch of different topics, from true crime to paranormal to you name it. If it's on here, I'll do it to a degree. There's just, you know, like, of course, I'm not going to be doing any, I was just going to say, I'm not going to be doing any makeup tutorials in here. I started off the video with that was makeup for a movie, though, so that's a little bit different. Anyways, guys, once again, my heart's out there for those of you in California who experienced this earthquake today. That's, like I said, YouTube should be the last place you should be. You know, just help community, help those around you, help one another. I'm sure you guys will come across one of these videos again one of these days, but for now, just I hope things can be put back together as quickly as possible and you can enjoy the holiday seasons. For the state of Colorado, I know we're expecting it to get down to like 30 below, which is pretty crazy. So I pray that pipes don't burst, not just, you know, in my home, but in homes across Colorado, because that would be pretty bad. yeah, did have them purged, so that's good. Um, and for everybody who has had that, tons of snowfall, I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys have power restored. Not freezing your asses off. Our prayers are with you, hearts are with you, and for the kind-hearted ones, the community's with you. So, yeah, thank you for watching once again, and I'm gonna have 2 more videos up tonight. I recorded 3 videos, and like I said, my big mug was in the way, so I hope you guys enjoy them. Nonetheless, thank you again for watching, and I'll be right back with a couple more. Till then, peace.